What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/NuclearRevenge. I almost said entitled parents. This story's called, I got my homophobic bullying coworker fired with a mysterious package. Firstly, I'd like to start by saying I am in no way homophobic. I respect everyone's choices, and I still don't understand why people have such a problem with others being gay. So you're saying being gay is a choice, huh? You watch it there, buddy. I'm teasing. When I was about 18, I used to work in a small factory for an engineering firm as an apprentice and had to work with this real piece of poo guy. Let's call him Kevin. For some reason, Kevin would find great joy by picking on me all the time in work. He would wait until it was just me and him alone and then call me out for being gay. Note, I am not gay and had a girlfriend at the time. However, that didn't matter to him. He would stroll right over to my desk and call me these awful names like bundle of sticks used for fuel, homo, rooster sucker, etc., plus other words and names that are too disgusting to say. He would get right in my face and try his best to get a response from me, but I would just keep my head down and keep working. Even though I ignored him, he made me feel really crap. I began hating going into work. I started coming up with excuses for not coming in. I did this so often that HR had to have a meeting with me, and I was given an official warning. I was a shy, small guy and didn't have the confidence to say anything. This kept going on for months, and one day he went too far. I was working on a design for a product for my work laptop and left the factory for lunch. When I got back, he had deleted all my work files and replaced them with screenshots of gay video of the adult variety. Wow. The second I sat back down on my desk in notice, Kevin ran up behind me and called everyone over to show them what I was supposedly looking at on my laptop. He pulled my arms back behind my chair, holding me in place, and everyone came over and started laughing at me. My boss even came over. My idiot boss believed Kevin, and I was given a warning letter about my work behavior and another official warning. I had enough and plotted my revenge. The idea I came up with was to send Kevin a package and have him open it in front of everyone. You see, Kevin collected rare DVDs and would have them shipped to the company's address. He would then gather everyone around his desk to show them what he had bought, no matter what the package. So I told my mother my plan. She knew what Kevin had done to me at this point, and she was in. I went online and ordered some extremely embarrassing stuff. I had them sent to my mother. She lived on the other side of the country, and she would send them to my workplace in Kevin's name. I did this so the package would be stamped in a different city, making it look like it was ordered somewhere else. Anyway, the day came when the package arrived. Kevin announced for everyone to come over to see his new DVD. Everyone came over and watched as Kevin opened the box. I stood at the back as I knew what was coming. Kevin stuck his hand in the box and pulled out a huge pink mankini, the one Borat wore, and a ball gag. Kevin's face went sheet white. Then everyone burst out laughing. The whole staff were bent over in laughter, some dropping to the floor crying in laughter. The staff started saying stuff like, "Is that for your weekend, Kevin? Is that for your other collection?" I was laughing so much that I couldn't breathe. Kevin ran out of the room and we all descended on the box. Besides the mankini and the ball gag, there was a note. Now this was the cherry on top, all thanks to my mother. One of the office staff took out the note and read it out loud. This is what it said. "Hello, Kevy Poo 69. Because you are one of our most loyal customers, we've decided to send you some free gifts to thank you for your years of loyalty to our brand. We hope you enjoy them. All the best from the team at OutOfTheCloset.com. Well, this just sent us all tumbling to the floor with laughter. I had no idea my mom would do that. Just typing it out now makes me laugh. After we all regained our composure, the head of HR came down and asked me to come up for a meeting. I entered one of the meeting rooms and there was Kevin, the head of HR, my boss, and the director of the company. For the next hour, Kevin tried to convince them that I had sent him the package. I protested, saying the package was stamped on the other side of the country, so how could I have sent it? The head of HR asked Kevin why he thought I sent the package. He said, "Because I always call him a..." Then he stopped his sentence. I turned to him and said, "Yeah, tell them what you always call me. Tell them the names you like to call me every day. Tell them how you single me out and bully me. Tell them about the hell you have put me through." The room got quiet. Kevin was told to leave while they have a chat with me. I proceeded to tell them about what Kevin was doing to me and how long it had gone on for. I told them about the names he called me and what he had done with my laptop. When I was finished, they all thanked me for being honest and said they would investigate my claims further. I was asked one more time if I had sent the package. I said I didn't and that it may have been a mate of mine because I had told my friends what had been going on. But it had nothing to do with me and I had no say in it. So an investigation did happen. They found out that Kevin was indeed bullying me and other young staff members and apprentices in the firm. He had been doing this since the day he had started working there. He was fired. Good. I don't feel any regret for what I did. He was a 50-year-old man that still acted like a child. If he can't grow up, then he can't work with adults. Years later, on my last day of work, I was asked by the director of the company if I had indeed sent that package to Kevin. I just smiled, winked, and said, "Nope, but my mother didn't like Kevin very much." I can now say I am a confident, happy extrovert. I don't stand for any bullying behavior anymore and always stick up for myself and the people around me. As for Kevin, well, I hope he has improved his attitude and has grown up. That's some wishful thinking if I've ever heard it, and I have. I hear it all the time in my head. Yeah, I was playing with this wishful thinking music box and it got stuck in my ear. It gets kind of annoying. Anyway, well, good job. And second, that's a really toxic workplace. Because what if that was an actual package Kevin had sent for himself? Yeah, obviously his dumb fault for sending it to work, but what if it was an accident, you know? And that was like the first time anyone had found out that he was like gay or something, or like just into that kind of stuff. And there, trauma right there, boom. But thank God that wasn't the case. It was just a jerky old guy who got what he deserved, because he was a jerk. And an old guy. This story's called The Time My Dad's Friends Crushed a Guy's Hands for Harming Me. So all this happened 2 to 3 months ago, so sorry for the limited details. Context. My dad has earned a lot of respect in our local area, as he will always help his friends with anything they need. So without exaggeration, there are a fairly large number of regulars at our local pub that would happily do the same for him. And I mean it, as they would most likely happily go to prison to look after my parent, my sister, and me. Anyway, I do a lot of walking, both when I get home and at uni, and I was walking through our local park at home and I noticed someone following me. Basically, I'm more or less bricking it, as I'm not willing to get my phone out in case he takes it, and I'm in the least populated area of the park where we are the only 2 people. I decide to speed up so that hopefully more people will act as a deterrent. The guy starts talking bullcrap to me, saying he needs help as his brother got stabbed. I knew he was talking rubbish, as he was perfectly calm and relaxed, and I walked past him 2 minutes ago chatting with his mate. I tell him to leave me alone, and he kicks out at me, taking my legs away and making me basically land with my full weight on my left knee. God, that hurt when my adrenaline ran out. I got up because I didn't want to be kicked to a pulp and made my way over to a dog walker who had just entered this area of the park. He allowed me to get to the cafe, where I called my sister sister. She and my mom come to pick me up from there and took me home. I put an ice pack on my ankle because him booting it as hard as he could made it bend wrong. Could still use it, so I knew it was fine. Anyway, my mom called my dad, who was at the pub with his mates, the ones who are willing to do anything to keep my sister and I safe. My mom relayed a very basic description from me to him, and not long later, he was home due to worry. My ankle kept seizing up by sitting on the sofa, so I got up and helped my mom with dinner. At this point, it seizing up was more painful than standing. While helping, I went to get something from the fridge. Our fridge is in the lounge right next to the kitchen, but not actually in the kitchen. And my dad pulled me aside and said that his friends had caught up to the guy that did it and got revenge for me. They asked if he had gotten into an altercation with someone in the park. He said yes, and they threw him to the ground, stomped on his hands and phone, and threw his earphones down the drain. Fallout. Every time I walk through that park, especially that bit of it, which I've only gone through twice in nearly 3 months, I get irrationally nervous and pay extreme amounts of attention to everyone I see. Never saw him again though. I've also been left with a knee that hurts every now and then, as well as if I accidentally bend it in certain ways that are usually fine. Again, I'm not worried about it as is. While at uni, I walk nearly 10 miles a day and only occasionally need to stop to let it rest. Moral of the story, don't mess with people if you don't think you can deal with the group of alcohol-fueled Londoners who are protective of your victim and his family. Yeah, it's probably a good rule of thumb to live by. That was a badass story. Feel really bad for OP though. That sounds like a very traumatizing thing. Because parks are pretty great, and if parks were ruined for you, well, that would not be a great thing. This story's called My Dogs Defend My Family and My Friend. This was many years ago, and I was never charged. The case was closed as a home invasion that was stopped with reasonable force. My dogs were not harmed or removed from me. My neighbor, let's call her Anne, was a nice lady, a single mom with 1 little boy. When she moved, she had some rat issues caused by the previous owner's hoarding, and since I am not bothered by rats and had a ratter dog, as well as my big boys and girls, I was able to help out a bit. She and my wife became great friends, and her boy loved my Mastiffs and the Great Dane I owned back then. Often when Anne was working, her lad would come and stay with my wife and I, and the dogs, after school and on the weekends. About a year after Anne moved in, she told us she was sure that she was being followed by a man who had approached her in a bar on one of her twice yearly nights out with her sister. She barely went out socializing. It was sheer bad luck she met this man at all, and asked us to keep an eye out for his type and color car. And if we could get his number plate, she could give it to the police. We, of course, promised to help and carried on about that day. Late that night, my Dane woke me up whining and led me to the side door. This opened onto a shared driveway with my neighbor. I opened it thinking he needed to go to the toilet in the garden, but as soon as I opened it, I saw a man inside Anne's kitchen, and then heard her scream. I dashed over the drive and pushed open her kitchen door. He had forced it, probably what woke my dogs, and shouted at him to stop. He went for me, realized pretty quickly that I knew how to fight and that he was losing. In the struggle, he managed to get free and took off down the road. We called the police and reported it and gave statements when the police arrived. Anne and her boy stayed with us for the rest of the night. The next day, she went to stay with relatives using another friend's car just in case he was hanging around. I scouted ahead a bit to make sure she could get away safely. That night, I woke up to the sound of a man screaming in my house. I could have gone straight downstairs to see what was going on, but I waited till it stopped before investigating, since it sounded exactly like the man from the night before, and I figured he needed some quality time with some real predators. He wasn't moving when I went into the living room, but the dogs were really happy with themselves. Oh my god! What the police and I worked out had happened was he quietly broke into my kitchen through the side door. My Mastiffs and the Dane waited till he was deep in the house before they struck. He was eyes, ragdolled by the neck from behind by my Great Dane. And while this was happening, the Mastiffs tore his legs to shreds. The little ratter my wife owned got stuck in too from the blood all over him at the end of it. He had suffered multiple fatal wounds to his thighs, neck, and face. The violator intruder had a backpack on with knives, duct tape, gags, and a small hand axe. DNA, Anne had scratched him, and my and Anne's statements confirmed that he was the same man who had tried to violate my neighbor. He had no idea I had large dogs, it seems. Or he was really freaking stupid. Who cares? The dogs have all died of old age now, but I bred from the Mastiffs and still have their pups and grandpups. The Dane made it to 12, which is ancient for one of them. Anne got a Mastiff from me shortly after this event, and she still owns large dogs too. I recommend a large dog as a companion and as something that will screw up any intruder for you. As Bill Burr says, it's like owning a gun you can pet. And that's a statement I could get behind. I just love the relationship between man and dog because, we've had such close relationships with them for thousands and thousands of years, to the point where they have hijacked our oxytocin pathways. So essentially, it's a bond that runs very, very deep, very similar to that between, your family. Then again, I'm stupid sometimes, so I could be wrong. This story's called Entitled Lady's Porsche Loses Tires. Okay, so this story took place back when I was in Florida in the early 90s. It does involve an act of vandalism that is connected to revenge. Hopefully it won't be removed, and hopefully it will count as nuclear revenge. Anyway, South Florida was devastated by Hurricane Andrew. My dad, as part of a local charity, was set up day after day at a local market seeking donations from shoppers to give to food banks. You have to understand, this storm left many people homeless and without power in some cases for 6+ months in Florida heat and humidity. My father was legally disabled from a serious car accident. He was hit by a drunk driver in the early 1980s and suffered from relentless hip and back problems. It never killed his heart or his kindness to others, hence the charity work. One day he was about to pull into the disabled space at the local market to go buy a few items to donate to the hurricane charity. Right before he is about to pull in, this lady pulls into the space in this shiny red Porsche. My dad parks behind her and says, "Excuse me, ma'am, I was about to pull in there," and also points to his disabled placard in the window. She says to him, "You don't look disabled," and proceeded to walk into the store. For anyone who has a relative who uses a disabled space, you know the frustration of the situation and the anger one feels. My dad, seemingly unfazed, waits until she goes into the store, then gets out and snips the valve stems on all 4 tires, flattening but not destroying all of them. He then pulls into another space not far away and just waits. About 15 minutes later, the lady comes out and she is shrieking about her car being vandalized. My dad is far enough away so she can't see him, but he can hear everything. She calls the police. Big mistake. She files a report for vandalism and the police give her a ticket for being parked in the disabled space with no placard, about $250 at the time. The cops leave and she calls the tow truck. As the car is being loaded onto the truck, my dad pulls up and says to her, "You don't look disabled, but your car sure is," and then drives off. My dad could be a nice guy and pure savage when he needed to be. Well, that's a charming story, and just goes to show, just cause you drive a fancy car doesn't mean you're disabled. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.